Makoto Shinkai is an animated director that has both been given an appropriate amount of attention and praise, but still falls to the wayside when discussing filmmakers outside of his specific genres, that being romance, science fiction, and the medium of animation. Shinkai is a director whose films are some of the most beautiful and touching I've ever come across. Criterion recently added several of his films to their catalog, which prompted me to finish watching his filmography. This is every Makoto Shinkai film ranked, excluding his short films. Number 7. The Place Promised in Our Early Days. I think that Shinkai nailed his visual style and excellence right off the bat, but his first film shows that he really struggled in the beginning with compelling and complex storytelling. The Place Promised in Our Early Days is the only film of Shinkai's that I would call boring. It is a sci-fi romance set in an alternate history where Japan is divided into 2 separate countries. This idea is interesting, but the film doesn't really do anything worthwhile with it. The story follows 3 friends, Hiroki, Takuya, and Sariri, who dream of building a plane and visiting a mysterious tower on the horizon. There's very little action, and the action that is there isn't compelling. The characters aren't very memorable, and this is the only film of Shinkai's that I don't think was really worth watching, apart from saying that I've seen all of his movies. There's very little in Our Early Days to sink your teeth into. While The Place Promised to us in Our Early Days may be less well known than some of Shinkai's other films, it doesn't have the hidden gem quality that some of his movies do. Number 6. 5 centimeters per second. This is probably the most disappointing Shinkai film. There was a lot of buzz around this film when I decided to watch it, but when it was over, I didn't get why so many people loved it. Out of all of Shinkai's romances, this one is my least favorite. While 5 centimeters per second has received acclaim for its visuals and emotional impact, it's definitely not immune to flaws. The 2 central characters feel flat and lack the joy that consumes Shinkai's other protagonists. With a runtime of just over an hour, 5 centimeters per second is divided into 3 segments, each focusing on different stages of the protagonist's life and their romantic endeavors. While this format allows for a deeper exploration of the film's themes, it can feel very disjointed and sometimes abrupt. On paper, so much of this film sounds brilliant, but it sadly turns out to be a pretty but boring affair. Number 5. Children Who Chase Lost Voices. Children Who Chase Lost Voices follows the story of Asuna, a young girl who discovers a gateway to a mysterious land. Asuna embarks on a journey with a mysterious boy named Shun, encountering mythical creatures and eventually confronting her own personal struggles. Visually, this film is breathtaking, with lush landscapes and fantastical creatures with wonderful designs that invoke a sense of wonder and awe. This is Shinkai's first visual masterpiece, bringing his animation to the level of what I would consider a Studio Ghibli movie. Shinkai's attention to detail and smooth character animation make every scene feel truly alive, and it immersed me in the rich mythology of its fantasy. While Children Who Chase Lost Voices may not reach the same emotional and thematic highs as some of his other films, its imaginative world building and compelling characters make it a very memorable addition to his body of work. Number 4. The Garden of Words. The Garden of Words is a visually stunning film that explores the unlikely bond between a high school student and a mysterious woman he meets in a Tokyo garden on rainy mornings. As they share their hopes, dreams, and fears, they find solace in each other's company. Despite the barriers that separate them, Shinkai's attention to detail is evident throughout The Garden of Words, with lush, atmospheric visuals that capture the beauty of nature and rain. Technically, this is Shinkai's most visually impressive film. The animation is particularly striking, with fluid character movement and richly detailed backgrounds, as well as some of the best water animation you'll ever see. Thematically, The Garden of Words explores issues of loneliness, longing, and the search for connection within bustling modern life. Themes very typical in Shinkai's stories. The relationship at the center of the film unfolds against the backdrop of the lush garden, where the beautifully animated rain becomes the trigger for the character's emotional journey. The film's simple storytelling and subtle character development is very different from other Shinkai movies, and proves that he doesn't need magic and monsters to make his movies great. Suzume. Suzume is Makoto Shinkai's latest film, released in 2023. It follows a girl on a quest to shut magical doors to another realm before dark forces wreak havoc on the world. The film's animation is beautifully crafted as usual, with of course fluid character animation and richly detailed backgrounds. But the character animation in Suzume is easily the best in any Shinkai film. The score is also amazing, giving weight to the action and drama of the story. Suzume has one of the weaker relationships in Shinkai's films, however, but still gets the job done. This is easily the biggest and boldest Makoto Shinkai has ever been, and it's a great example of how much he's improved as a filmmaker. There really is so much to love about Suzume. Number 2, Weathering with You. Shinkai's Weathering with You continues his exploration of love, destiny, and the forces of nature. The film centers on Hodoka, a teenage runaway who encounters Hina, a girl with the ability to control the weather, or more specifically, to make the sun come out. Together, they navigate the rainy streets of Tokyo and deal with the consequences of Hina's magical powers. Weathering with You is, like all Shinkai films, visually stunning, bringing his knowledge of reflections and refractions and water to its obvious conclusion. Another movie all about rain. Shinkai's attention to detail is without rival, from shimmering raindrops to the bustling cityscape. Thematically, the film delves into issues of climate change, which have never been as present in a Shinkai film, and the massive sacrifices we make for ones we love, a very common theme in Shinkai's work. Throughout Honoka and Hina's journey, Shinkai explores the complexities of adolescence and the search for meaning in a world that seems strange and unfair. Weathering with You is the most fun of Shinkai's films, and has some of the most lovable characters I've ever encountered in an animated movie. But, like most of Shinkai's work, it still manages to pull on your heartstrings. Number 1, Your Name, obviously. Your Name stands as Shinkai's crowning achievement, and a true masterpiece of animation. Ever since I saw this film in my basement alone like a loser, it soared into my top 10 of all time. The film follows the story of 2 teenagers, Mitsuha and Takika, who mysteriously swap bodies. As they navigate each other's lives and build a connection with one another, they discover a deeper bond that transcends time and space. Shinkai masterfully weaves together elements of romance, fantasy, and coming-of-age films better than he's ever done before. The animation Your Name is easily the best out of any Shinkai film, with meticulously detailed landscapes and fun character designs, and countless frames that you could hang on your wall. The characters in Your Name are endlessly lovable, and you quickly become attached to them. What sets Your Name apart is its emotionally powerful storytelling. Shinkai explores themes about the human condition and human connections with depth and nuance. Your Name is genuine in its sentiments, and is the kind of uplifting film that many of us really need to watch right now. The film's narrative twists and turns in ways that always keep me engaged during the 100th rewatch, while its emotional beats still bring tears to my eyes. More than any other Shinkai film, Your Name boasts a beautiful soundtrack composed by Radwimps, which enhances the emotional impact of the most powerful scenes. Overall, Your Name captivates with its spellbinding visuals, compelling characters, and emotional and joyous story. It remains a modern classic and a masterpiece that still defines Makoto Shinkai's career. So in both Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume, there's a scene where the main character chases their love interest on a vehicle, which eventually breaks down and forces them to run on foot in a really dramatic way. And they all do this in order to stop their love interest from crossing a magical gate. This isn't a criticism, I'm just saying. I see your game, Shinkai.